George Churchill. Well, hello. Normally, I believe that the practice is to read the poem and then to talk about it, but I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to talk about it first, because it's a great poem. I believe it's a great poem. By Derek Mahon. Some of you have heard of Derek Mahon. Some of you will know the poem in any case. Fascinating thing. Derek Mahon was an Irish poet, Protestant working class poet, of the same generation, Seamus Heaney, and so on, Michael Longley. In fact, an interesting coincidence between the poem I'm going to read, which is A Disused Shed in County Wexford, it was written or published in the same year as Seamus Heaney's North. And there are certain resemblances between these two poems. Clearly, they're actually advertised as close reading. And then I thought it was going to be, well, close sweep. And then I thought, actually, it's a flying overview of the whole thing. And that's why I'm giving you the fly overview, taking you into the poem. So this is after the Irish Troubles. Mahon is a young poet. He is a young poet. The subject of this poem is a visit that Mahon made at some point to this disused shed in County Wexford. And in this disused shed, he discovers a whole colony of mushrooms. These are mushrooms which are reaching up towards the one point of light, which is from the keyhole. I don't know how true this is biologically, but this is how he sees it. So you open this shed, and what you see are all these mushrooms leaning towards that one point of light. It moves him. The parallel with Heaney is that Heaney's North is about the preservations of people in bogs. Toilet man. People in, there's a book about this by people Block. Those two are preservations. Those are prisoners. Mahon's poems, mushrooms, are prisoners. What unfolds in the poem, and what makes it, I think, a great poem, which is one of very good reason for reading it second rather than reading it first, and then me blabbing about afterwards, is that it appears to be merely about mushrooms. But then as the poem opens, the poem takes us through, we begin to see the mushrooms as people. So these are trapped people, people of Pompeii and Treblinka, as he says later on in the poem. So slowly we open this world into a world of prisoners. Prisoners for a long time ago. It begins with two epigraphs. One of them is from Greek poet George Szirtes, which begins with let me just find it exactly. This poem, I awoke with this marble head in my hands, begins the Szirtes poem. It is very heavy. He cannot bear the weight of this head. It is history. It is history's weighing on him. He's having to support this great, tragic remnant of what has been. And as he goes on through the poem, this is Szirtes. He, these are the last few lines. Here end the works of the sea, the works of love, those who will someday live here when we end. If the blood should chance to darken in their memory and overflow, let them not forget us, the weak souls among the asphodels. Let the turn towards Erebus, the heads of the victims. We who had nothing will teach them peace. It's a piece. This is in the midst of the troubles. The other epigraph, which I won't read, is from J.G. Farrell, who actually wrote a book called Troubles, which is a book that he's referring to this, and that involves a burned-down hotel. Now, where Mahon is going, he's gone to his ex-big house, which might well have been a hotel, but he talks about it being, if you like, one of the remnants of the Irish Civil War. That is to say, it was the British possibly, or the Anglo-Irish, who had this house. But the house is lost, it's been burnt down, and it's in the grounds of that house that we find the shed. Shrinking down all the things. I think, if you gave me it, I could talk about this for an hour. And in fact, in the past I have. We're quite high up, looking down, okay? Just some other things. I love the first line of this poem. The first line of this poem is, even now there are places where thought might grow. And you think, okay, well, that could lead us practically anywhere. Well, that is, in fact, the way that poems develop. As you all know, you write poems, it's the way thought grows. But what really fascinates me is the first two words, even now. Even now. So that's the present. So a thought is growing, and that is what this poem is, the growth of that thought. But that's his first line. And when he gets to his second line, he conjures Peruvian minds. Mind in Peru, but a long kind of mind out mind. There's nothing there. It's a place, it's an echoes trapped forever, and a flutter of wildflowers in the rift shaft. He shows us there for about 4 lines, and then he switches to Indian compounds. The Indian compounds are a door bangs with diminished confidence. Lime crevices behind, rippling rain barrels. And then at the end of that first that is taken from, or a thought can grow, and he takes you to Peru. Then he takes you to the place in India. And the last line of the first verse, and this is what shunts you into the poem, is, and in a disused shed, County Wexford. These are desolate, long, abandoned places in which there are only echoes and drips and everything else. And now you come to the shed itself. One thing I should say is to do with this house teachings, just look at this one. What does it look like? It looks like 6 verses of 10 lines each. There's an orderly mind here, and it's trying to put something into order. And the other thing which you will possibly hear when I read it is that as the line moves on, as the verses move on, you begin to move towards rhyme. It's not heavy rhyme, it's not end-stop rhyme, but you will hear it. All these are, if you like, are attempts to bring some sort of order, some sort of correspondence to these things that you see. When he looks at these mushrooms, he asks of them the questions, what should they do there but desire? Another odd line, it's a bit like that first line. These seem to be yearning, that's what it is. They're driven by human desires. And when you think of people, the people of Pompeii, the people of Tripoli, who he will refer to, you think of that longing to get out, to still be alive, to press towards something possible. He talks about an expropriated mycologist. It's a rather fanciful, fussy way of putting this. Expropriation, I think, is primarily kind of Marxist term. The idea was that you would expropriate the expropriators. And he knows he's being a bit fussy about this. What he's suggesting is that the mycologist, the mushroom collector, was the colonial person who once owned this big, big house. and the mushrooms cry out. They seem to him to be crying out, elbow room, elbow room. That's a single line by itself. Then we get echoes of other things. You get echoes of Antony and Cleopatra, but Antony at the point that the spirits are leaving him. He's going to be defeated in battle, and that people are leaving. The music is leaving Antony. Famous poem by Cavafi about this, which is a very beautiful thing. He actually more or less quotes Cavafi in the last verse, when he says, "Let God not abandon us." The title of Cavafi's poem is "If God Abandons Antony." So you're hearing echoes. I can't take you through all the echoes. I'm not going to now, but it's lovely, because I think it is a great poem. I've told you why I think it's a great poem. It's because it's about something really particular, very, very particular, but a thought grows around these things. And the mushrooms become people, they become limbs. And then the God abandons them. That the God abandons us, they have been abandoned by God. So he's thinking about the war around him, just like he is thinking about it when he thinks in North. Somewhere deep inside there are these hidden things, and they want to come out and to reveal things. Okay, that's enough. I'll read you the poem. You'll hear some of these things as we pass through, so the flight begins. Even now, there are places where thought might grow. Peruvian minds worked out and abandoned to a slow clock of condensation. An echo trapped forever, and a flutter of wildflowers in a lift shaft. Indian compounds, where the wind dances and the door bangs with diminished confidence. Lime crevices behind rippling rain barrels, dug corners for bone burials, and a disused shed in County Wexford. Just listen. Clock of condensation, echo, flutter, wildflowers, lift shaft. The sounds, those musics, those things that are playing inside. Okay, move on. Deep in the grounds of a burnt-out hotel, among the bathtubs and the wash basins, 1,000 mushrooms crowd to a keyhole. This is the one star in that firmament, or frames a star within a star. What should they do there? What desire? So many days beyond the road of engines, with the world waltzing in its bowl of cloud, they have learned patience and silence, listening to the rooks querulous in the high wood. They have been waiting for us in a fever of vegetable sweat since Civil War days, since the gravel crunching, interminable departure of the expropriated mycologist. He never came back, and life since then is a keyhole, rusting gently after rain. Spiders have spun, flies dusted to mildew, and once a day, perhaps, they have heard something, a trickle of masonry, a shout from the blue, or a lorry changing gear at the end of the line. There have been deaths, the pale flesh flaking into the earth that nourished it, and nightmares born of thieves and a grim dominion of stale air and round moisture. Those nearest the door grow strong. Elbow room, elbow room. The rest, dim in a twilight of crumbling utensils and broken rituals, groaning for their deliverance, have been so long expectant that there is left only a street. A half century without visitors, in the dark, all preparation for the cracking lock and creak of hinges. Major moonmen, powdery prisoners of the old regime, web-throated, stalked like triffids, wrecked by drought and insomnia, is ushers of thinking. Only the ghost of a scream at the flashbulb firing squad we wake them with shows there is life yet in their feverish forms, grown beyond nature now, soft food for worms. They lift frail heads in gravity and good faith. They are begging us, you see, in their wordless way, to do something, to speak on their behalf, or at least not to close the door again. Lost people, Eltronica and Pompeii, save us, they seem to say. Let the God not abandon us, who have come so far in darkness, pain. We too had our lives to live. You, with your light meter and your legs like timber, let not our naive wings be in vain. So, very moved. That's it.